So cheers, people. I know it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but the
Cheers.
fuck else we got to do, man? Like,
Right?
really don't have literally nothing else to do. So it's 5 o'clock to us at all times now. Man, this is weird. So what's up, Johnny boy? How's it been, man? I know you sacrificed your life yesterday to get the bottle. So how'd that go, bro?
Yeah, hold on. Let me reach over.
Yeah.
It's like,
You need both hands. So,
no, no. There it is. Ah,
we don't talk about boy.
it was worth it. It
That's what
was
you should have
worth
got
it.
the first time.
You know what? I was going to, but they didn't have it. Just get off my back already. Um,
No.
no, man.
Yeah.
Look, I got. We have a lot of time on our hands. I've been watching a couple series.
Yes.
One of them is
Yes.
Dirty Money season 2. Um, the other
Okay.
one is Pandemic, which I started watching before this whole COVID 19
Right.
SARS 2 shit kicked off. But let me
Right.
ask you something. Anti vaxxers, are they,
Right.
should we even count them as human beings? Are
Dude,
they people?
listen. I
Do they matter?
I so that's episode 2, right? So episode 1, whatever, is fucking traumatic enough. We're like all the shit you're seeing, like, oh
Hmm.
shit, they saw this coming years ago. Awesome. But episode 2 starts with like anti-vaxxers,
Right.
and this lady with like 6 kids, right? Is so incredibly annoying, bro. Like,
Yes, she
I was
is.
watching it and I'm talking to my wife and I'm like, yo, like, but she's taking choice away from them. Like, her belief is taking the children's right to choose, right or whatever, whether they want it or not,
Hmm.
away from them. But she's
Right.
telling them that the government is taking away their right to choose. So I was like, wait, I was like confused by that. I was like, if you're telling them you don't like it, but the government is telling, you know what I mean? And like her
Yeah.
whole belief is like, oh, only I know what's right for my kids. Yeah, bitch, but it's not about your kids. Like, it's about all the other kids. You selfish cunt. I know
Yeah.
that's a little aggressive, but she just like, I don't know if that's all anti-vaxxers. Obviously, there's one situation, but they did a whole fucking rally and shit in, like, I think it was like Washington State,
Oregon.
where she just Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
She just comes off smug, right? Like,
Oh
just
yeah.
comes off like this know-it-all person because I googled some shit. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Get
Where
the fuck out of here.
I know more than my doctor does. I don't know. I don't know if that's the episode you watched. Maybe because I'm on episode 4 or 5 now, and I don't want to ruin it for you. But they have a
Right?
whole meeting.
I'm sure it gets worse.
Yeah, they have a meeting where she brings other people that are in the same community, same lifestyle,
Yeah.
and they have a
Echo
discussion,
chamber.
a peaceful, non-violent discussion to share their points, which are all they just agree with each other. And she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this was so healing. I don't know if we made any change, but this was so good for my soul." And I was just like, "What the?" It was so good for her soul. I mean, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Food. I think she called it food for her soul.
Yeah. Of course she did.
Of course.
Of course she did. She chicken soup for the soul type person. Teenage dude. It was so weird, right? Because look, I I understand. Part of me understands like the whole flu thing. Like, if you look at some stuff for like autism and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, allegedly, if you read the right article, you know what I mean. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can find anything that verifies your point.
Right.
But again, like how she came off, I guess there's a part where like because she wasn't, because she wasn't intelligent enough to have that conversation. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Because she literally knows, like, she homeschools all her kids, right?
Right.
So it already comes off kind of cultish. You know what I mean? Like, right
Mm-hmm.
now, parents are being forced to homeschool, very different,
Right.
right? So she's telling them off her education. She doesn't come off very educated, right? She comes off kind of well read, you know what I mean? Like, but not educated, because there's a difference. Like well read is like you could regurgitate the points that somebody told you or that you read in an article on the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Educated is like you actually sought out different, you know what I mean? Different information, counterpoints, and shit like that. That's none of what she is. She just is a complete echo chamber. And I was like, that is everything I hate about people. Like,
Yeah.
she embodied that, dude. Where like, what is she talking about?
That's all she
And
was.
especially like, yeah, go ahead.
No,
It
yeah,
was so
that's all
weird.
she was. She's paraphrasing, things that she's read, heard, but there was nothing of value, And I'm surprised that they didn't throw in there Jenny McCarthy, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where this whole thing started a few years
Yes.
back where she found some
Celebrity. Yep.
bogus article that said that vaccine was causing autism. Autism didn't
Yep.
exist, and then they started vaccinating, and now kids are developing autism because of the vaccine, right? And then
Yep.
that celebrity, she ran her mouth, and it spread. But it was proven
Yeah.
that's not true, right? Someone found that it was a bogus or a hoax or some, like the Onion. It was a
Yeah.
bullshit
All
article. It
bullshit.
wasn't real,
Yeah.
and people are still running with that. They, like that. She had that meeting. That lady had that meeting of 6 people where they were like, look, they were like stroking each other. They're like, oh, feel the energy going
Mm-hmm.
down my arms. Oh, I'm like, what
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fuck are you guys? I'm like, you know what? That's cool. You can do all that, but then don't bring that into like legislature and saying we're
Yeah.
going to have a rally, we're going to protest, we're going to shut down this bill from passing in Oregon because I want my kids to have the right to choose. And you know what? It's America. It's a free
But it's
country,
not true.
but I agree with her. She does have the right to choose.
Yeah.
You don't have to vaccinate your
Right.
kids, but now don't
Yes.
throw your kids that are not vaccinated in with my kids. If you're going to vaccinate your
Right.
kids, then they can't go to public schools, or they shouldn't be allowed to go to public schools where they're putting other people that are immunocompromised in danger if your unvaccinated
Mm-hmm.
kid gets something. Because now
Right.
you're a menace to society. Now you're the one that's causing that's the problem. So don't vaccinate your kids
Yep.
at school, but homeschool them. It's there
Yeah.
are limitations to everything. You don't have to vaccinate them, but then there are rules that apply, and you find out that bill was not passed. They didn't pass that bill,
Right.
and the senator who was trying to pass it, she's a doctor, she's a physician
Yeah.
who's also a senator,
Yep.
and so she's bringing real science to lawmaking, to the legislature, where you have these people that are just running on I don't know, hocus pocus.
Feelings. On feelings, right? Like what they're doing is like they're going with the I feel method, right?
Right.
I feel this is wrong for my kids. Okay, great. And like you said, like here's what's, and I didn't think of it as you until you said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that she's forcing schools to not force vaccinations when
Right.
her kids are homeschooled anyway. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
so it literally wouldn't affect your kids to begin with, but then you're gonna affect the law for other people's kids, right? That might not be homeschooled, right? That go out into the public, and you're risking them. You're not risking your own kids' lives, right? Because they're at home on your. Look like she had a lot of land in her little makeshift house shit. You know what I mean? That it was weird. She had a hammock in the middle of her living room. It was very like white hippie liberal. You know what I mean? Like
That's what it was.
It was
Exactly what it was.
yeah. It's exactly like that white liberal that like people hate, right? Like even that me and you can't stand. Like
Mm-hmm.
that liberal that like everything offends me, even though it doesn't affect you. Like it's weird, right? Like I'm gonna be more outraged than you. It's fucking.
Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna
creepy
go out
as
of
shit.
my way to get offended for you because you're not
Yeah.
offended enough, even though this comment was made about that person that lives in
Yeah,
outrage
that
culture, right? Cancel
Yeah.
culture,
Dude,
outrage
did
culture.
Yeah, did you watch? I watched a little bit of the Bert Kreischer stand-up. This is one of the things he says, right?
I didn't
Because
see
he
it.
has like a joke. I watched it was like the first 10, 15 minutes. And he's talking about, because he has a joke for the barista that makes his coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I guess the guy's black, and he makes some jokes about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes like that. He's like, I hate people who do that, who go out of their way to be outraged for shit that doesn't affect them. Because it was like, you got to watch it. It was like some white lady behind him,
Of
and he made
course.
the joke with the black guy. He was like, what was it? It was like, I like how do you want your venti coffee? He goes like the dad never showed up. You know what I mean? Like oh, he means black. You know what I mean? Like it's just like like 3 or 4 jokes in a row like that. It's funny as shit.
Uh-huh.
So it was like that. Like the lady behind them was like, that's why it was just fucking crazy. I was like, so watching that, it was like, I'm like, dude, none of this. Like watching that, like none of that. I was like, why did they even include this in this conversation? But also, you have to include the anti-vaxxers in it because it's a growing population of ignorance, right?
Right.
And that's what leads to a bigger pandemic, right? Because a typical, like you have malaria coming back, or you have measles and all these measles, mumps, rubella,
Right.
all these things that were cured or you have the vaccine for, making a bounce back in elementaries, kindergartens, middle schools, high schools, where people, you know what I mean, like are just have the immune compromised to it. It was just weird, dude. But that show is hard to watch. That series, because it's not a show, right? It's not a TV show. That docu-series was hard to watch because you see how vulnerable we are as people, right? Not just as Americans, you know what I mean? Like the whole excuses for it, like, oh, it's this country's fault or that country's fault.
Right.
Like in a second, like Ebola can kill everybody. You know what I mean? If it was aerialized and shit like that, it's mind blowing. Definitely not a good thing to watch during this time, but it was interesting. Like
But you
my
get to
wife
watch
hated.
some of the other stuff. If you continue to watch it, you get to watch some of the other stuff that they're doing. Things that the science and the scientists
Yeah,
that are working on these global one vaccine and things of that nature. Um, and then I watched that, and then I watched some crazy video. Who sent it to me? Was it Chris? He posted it to my timeline. I know you got it too because you were tagged on that
yeah.
video. It
You
was like
typed in, yeah,
a 10-minute video about how it was created at the UNC Chapel Hill, and then it was taken back to
yeah,
China where there was a breakout or they released it or whatever.
yeah.
So, the
My
conspiracy theory kind of thing that you and I talked about
yeah,
at the very beginning of this. I think Steven was on the show when we were talking about it. I
yeah,
said, hey, like, but doesn't it make sense that this would be like the perfect bio weapon? And that's exactly what that
yeah.
guy was talking about in his video.
Yeah, dude. Like my friend Chris, the one actually the Chris that goes against the other Chris, right? Like the one that I say should be married. He actually sent me some shit that was like about a Harvard doctor that was like arrested by the Department of Justice for creating the bioweapon. Like he sent it to me and I saw it. It
Uh-huh.
was fucking mind blowing. But like I haven't done the research to know, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
looked on my own yet. But it was like all that stuff is out there, right? Like there's tons of people who believe that.
Right.
Like it's weird though, right? Because let's say all those things are true, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those conspiracy theories, cool. Doesn't change what we're actually going through, right?
Right.
Like there having to be social distancing, which is a term that was just coined in the last couple months. The quarantine, the staying away from people. That like, dude, I went to the store today. I set my alarm to go grocery shopping, right? To get a little bit more, just little stuff around the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like lemonade, you know what I mean, Epsom salt, fucking just little things. But I want to go when it's the least amount of people. Dude, I went there. I got there at so the Walmart by me opens at like 7. When I got there was already a line of like 40 to 50 people, but they were all like 6 to 12 feet apart. So like where
I
you
saw
think you
that.
don't see people, like yes, I posted the picture on my social media. But dude, it was so weird. Like, and I'm walking up, like you know what I mean, in my mask, feeling real fucking weird, and all of it is just it's really strange because like the sun hasn't fully come up yet, but you're in this line. You know what I mean? And the whole time I'm thinking, because I'm an asshole. The whole time I'm thinking, I was
You?
like, how did a capital? No, yeah, absolutely not. How did a capitalistic country so quickly become communist? Where I'm standing in a line to get, you know what I mean, to get goods for my house. Like, how did that? Like, it's been what 3 months now, right? Roughly,
Mm-hmm.
and the last 35 days, it got a little bit more serious, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how am I still having to like set my alarm to get toilet paper? How have you know what I mean? How have that corporations and all this shit not bounced back? It was just first of all, it's weird because like there's some people who take it uber serious that are like and basically hazmat suits from head to
Mm-hmm.
toe. You know what I mean? Wearing like, but it's a weird hazmat suit, right? Like it's like a self. They made it as a DIY thing where they have like
I've seen
dish
them.
soap gloves, dish soap gloves with like tape around. It's like this gets weird. With
Uh,
like a t-shirt as a mask doesn't cover
which
anything,
doesn't
but
work.
whatever,
Yeah.
doesn't work at all. But it's just and like you see other people who are just walking around with nothing, right? And looking at other people like they're fucking weird. Like there was a young guy there, mind you, I was probably the youngest guy with like 30, 40 years. There was another young guy there with his wife, and I felt like he was looking at me like I'm a fucking idiot, but I'm looking at him like he's a fucking idiot. But I was like, because like I'm like, how you just not gonna wear nothing?
You're
But
both
he
fucking
probably doesn't
idiots.
think it's real. It thinks it's a hoax and all this shit. So it was like it's this dynamic was just it's strange, man. It's strange.
It is. Look, I went. So was it Friday? Friday, I went out to pick up my son's laptop. The school is.
Right.
I had a 5 minute window between 2:20 and 2:25 to pick up his laptop. I don't even know why I went because I realized that he could just use the computer he has at home in his room. There's nothing
Yeah.
special on that laptop that he needed to access. It's a Chromebook.
Right.
So I was like, all right,
Right.
whatever, we got it. So while I was out, I called Mel and I said, hey, do we need anything from the store? Are we good? And I picked up a few things. It was also an excuse for me to run and get the big bottle because I was out of Jack anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I went to two places. I went to Aldi and I went to this
Yeah.
place called Market District, which is that fancy supermarket I told you about that has a Starbucks in it and a bar and a
Yeah.
deli, like not a deli, but a freaking like little restaurant. Um, and almost everyone at Aldi was wearing a mask
Yep.
or gloves or something. You know, all the stores already have plexiglass at the cash registers. At least Aldi did. Then I went to the other place, the fancy place. They're both minutes from my house. Like
Uh,
then they're both like maybe a quarter mile from each other, maybe a half a mile. And then I went to the other place, and no one was wearing anything. And I live in this neighborhood where, um, the demographic is these older people, 60s and up. All right, Benjamin, you and your beautiful internet dropped off again. All right, we're having some technical difficulties. Let's see how long it's going to take Ben to get back on. All right, bear with us. This is what happens when you have 5 acres of land and you have satellite internet. When it rains, you get no signal. That's what happens when you live out in the backwoods. So let me get Benjamin back. Let me get this dude back on. And we can continue. We can continue our conversation about how everyone out here is just, I don't know what they're doing. Like it's everything's wonderful. They don't want to wear any protection. All right, let's see what happens.
can you hear me?
Let's see. I
Are we
can
back?
hear you. You're not moving. Okay, very slowly, but you are moving.
Yeah.
There you are. We're back. We apologize. I'm apologizing on behalf of Ben, who has
Yep.
satellite
Yep.
internet.
Nope.
He
Nope.
says it's satellite internet. I don't think it's
Nope.
satellite internet. He lives in the
Mhm.
1865. He hasn't upgraded yet. I'm surprised he knows what
No.
a smartphone is.
I have a phone. It's not that smart.
I
That's
think
that's the downside.
that would be the end user. I'm not sure it's the phone, but
Yeah.
that's a discussion for another time.
Are we back on? Back on.
We're
All right.
live, son.
Well, we're on it, boy. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, man. It's just listen. It's just so you were talking about all these and the supermarket stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you were saying all these, everybody had a mask on. So what was the experience for like at the other store?
Nobody. Nobody. Maybe one or two people. And it's crazy because the
That's
demographic's the same. It's all I live in that neighborhood where, and I'm not talking about the 97% white demographic. I'm talking about the
right.
there's a lot of older people in this neighborhood. It's an older, well-established neighborhood. People have lived here for 20, 30, 40 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's who you see around a lot, and being, I guess this is new to me because, I was in the army for almost 12 years, so I got used to moving around, but most Americans
Yep.
don't, right? They grow up, they go to school, usually a local public school or private school, like, they go to college and then they stay
Yep.
home or in the area and work,
Yep.
or they don't go to college and then they just join the workforce, but it's in
Mm-hmm.
the same neighborhood. Everyone lives within a few minutes of their brothers, sisters, uncles, parents, whatever.
Yep.
And so this neighborhood is an older neighborhood and it's got older people in it. And I'm just surprised that them being the vulnerable demographic, at least in that, it's so crazy to me that in that one place, they're wearing hardly any protection. And then in the other place, they have
Yeah. Quick.
they have the stickers on the floor, maintain 6 feet of social
Yep.
distancing. They have the plexiglass at the cash register. They're taking all these other precautions, whether it's extreme or not, whatever. Only time will tell. But one in one place, the customers are abiding by these policies, and then at the other place, which is a half a mile down the road, if that,
Yep.
everyone's going on like it's business as usual. So that was a little strange to me.
Yeah, dude. Like it's even like obviously this is all anecdotal, right? Because we're not sign, but I'm seeing that even within the same stores, right? Like I told you, like somebody will be completely covered from head to toe. Another
Mm-hmm.
person is, you know what I mean, not.
Yeah.
Another person is in the demographic that's the most at risk to to die. You know what I mean, like 70 and older. Because like here we have a lot of people that come from the Midwest
Mm-hmm.
and they come winter months, right?
Yeah.
And then they drop back up. So you have a lot of people from up north down here, and it's just weird because a lot of them have that dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like I don't. Obviously, you're not gonna get everybody to buy in, right? But they're not realizing that them not buying in and at least adhering to the guidelines that are being told, not just from the president, but from doctors and you know what I mean, and the medical professionals, to just say fuck it is careless and irresponsible. You know what I mean? I was walking through Walmart and they had like even throughout the PA system, they had the thing saying remember to maintain social distancing. It's part of like the radio now, the radio program. Remember to maintain social distancing, wear a mask and glove if possible. Again, like if possible, shouldn't be a thing that's said. You know what I mean? If you're older, if you know you're in the demographic because you watch Fox News, that's the most at risk, you should for sure put your shit on, bro. I know it looks crazy, but I'd rather be over ready and over protected than be like, shit, I should have. I should have done this. Because then, you know what I mean? Then what happens? We don't live very close to a hospital. We're 30 to 35 minutes away from the closest real hospital that can take them. Like if you're older and you live on your own, you're expediting, you know what I mean? The end
Your own
for
death. Yeah.
whatever reason. It's fucking weird, dude. But again, I'd take those people over anti-vaxxers.
Oh no, for sure. And look, I went out and I didn't have a mask on, and that'll be the last time that I go out without a mask. Now, having said that, I went out and I was I took a long time to get through that store because I would come around like the
Yes.
aisle and I'd see that there was someone there. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go around you. I'd find an empty aisle. I'd go down that
Yep.
aisle, and then
Yep.
I'd wait for that person to leave, and I'd go grab my shit and put it back. So Mel's like, hey, you've been
Yeah.
out for like an hour and a half. I'm like, baby,
Yeah.
I'm over here dodging death. All right, I'm over here right now.
Real good.
What's the dodgeball movie? Dodge, duck. They're
Yeah,
throwing wrenches at me and shit. I'm over here just.
Yeah. You can
Just
dodge
trying
a
to-
wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's
yeah, boy.
right. I'm trying to dodge these fucking droplets. Is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, dude. And
So next
dude,
time
like so, like
I'll wear a mask to help
what I literally
expedite it.
would do, right? And mind you, I'm wearing a mask, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My dog's starting to cry at the door. What I would wear a mask, and what I'm literally looking at is like the path. Like I'm walking through because if you walk into Walmart, right, the produce is right there at your front. So like I'm looking for a path to like go around people, but like also not look like I'm going around. You know what I mean? Trying to avoid them.
Oh
Like
no,
it's
I
almost
make
like
it
a
obvious.
it's like a maze. You know what I mean? Like remember when you were a kid
Mm-hmm.
and you went to like a restaurant with your mom and they always gave you like that. You know what I mean? That little maze thing to like keep you shut the fuck up before there were mobile phones.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was doing. I was like tracing my way in and out. Like if there's more than 2 or 3 people in the aisle, I'm not going in that aisle. You know what I mean? I was like, no, fuck that, dude. Like I almost cussed out 3 employees because I go back for some chips because we were gonna buy avocados from Aldi's,
Mm-hmm.
right, to make guac. So I buy chips, and then like 3 people all of a sudden are on top of me. I was like, yo, man, back the fuck up, yo. Like, what
Yeah.
y'all doing, man?
Like, read
dude,
your
like,
own sign on the floor, dude.
the sign is right there, bitch. The sign is right there.
If I punch you in the face, that's self defense, right? You're assaulting me right now.
Yeah, dude. I was like, if you catch an elbow to the face, your next move is a power bomb.
Hey,
Like,
but
this
you
is
know,
about to get
yeah,
real crazy, real quick.
yeah, I take it to the next level because I wasn't wearing a mask. Like I don't know what happened. I woke up one morning and I was seeing everything like the Matrix. Like I can see these droplets like I was in the fucking
Yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah.
It's all. So you see me. I don't even try to fake it. I was being obvious that I didn't want to talk to you, and someone said something to me, and I was like, you hear the car come to a fucking screeching halt. It's like, nah, stay the
Your
fuck
car
away,
have
dude.
brakes, son. Your car have brakes.
The car had brakes. I made the sound effect. It had brakes. I
Fuck outta here.
skirt.
Not today, Corona. Not
today.
You just move around that shit, dude. It was such a weird experience, man. Just
Yeah.
going to the store because like I've gone to the store a couple times now, right?
Uh-huh.
But like I've never had to make a line to go into a store. Like it felt like Black Friday, but worse. You know what I mean? And when you're in there, you're around a lot of older people, so like you can feel like the stress and the anxiety of like that entire experience because you're all in this shit together,
Mm-hmm.
and none of you know if one of you has it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like it was just strange, dude. And of course, because I'm a sociopath at times, I decided to come home and watch Outbreak. Who the fuck does that? Why would I do that?
You told me that this
Like,
morning. I'm like, what? I mean, you're living the outbreak right now. Why?
yeah,
Why do
yeah.
you have to watch it?
I feel like because it wasn't a monkey and it's not Ebola, I'm like fuck it, or they call it Motada or Motaba in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was just in it, but dude, like the first 25 minutes of that movie felt like right now, right? Because we're not seeing like the deaths in the hospital and stuff, but like
Right.
when it breaks out into like a certain hospital and like the panic ensues and all that shit, like it was wild, bro.
Yeah,
It was
man.
fucking wild.
You mentioned Ebola. I remember I got back from Afghanistan in April of 2014, and
Mm-hmm.
I changed my MOS, my career path in the army. And so I got back in April, and in May I went off to school for like 2 or 3 months to do some
Right.
retraining. And so I get back home from school in July. We're home for about a week, and then we PCS. So we moved from Washington State to Tennessee. I got to Tennessee. I'm in my new duty assignment. I'm in my new career field, and I talked to the senior enlisted member there, the sergeant major,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Hey, you might be going to West Africa in about a month because I changed from finance to contracting specialist, people that deal with government contracts,
Right.
and so the outbreak was going on at that time." And there was a
Mm-hmm.
team in that contracting unit that was slated to go to Iraq, but instead because the 101st was going. They sent over 2,000 troops over there to
Mm-hmm.
help put up these. I think they were called ETFs, Ebola treatment facilities, or ETUs, Ebola treatment units.
Fuck
They
that.
needed a contracting team out there to go to help with the contracts and the vendors and set these contracts in place to put these things up. So they needed the 101st, the engineers to do that, and then they needed the contracting piece to get the logistics together. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, man, I just got back from Afghanistan 3 months ago, and now I'm about to go to Africa to catch this Ebola.
Yeah.
And they were leaving in 3 weeks. Now I ended up not going because that team had already trained together. They were getting ready to go to Iraq, and they
Right.
changed the mission and they sent them to, damn, I forget where in West Africa. I can't think of the name. I'm not even gonna try to guess.
Yeah.
Monrovia,
Right.
I think it was Monrovia, which is the capital of one of the countries there. I can't remember, but Monrovia was the city. And
I roll with it.
no, it was.
Oh,
I know what I'm talking
okay.
about. But yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
that was yeah, that was some crazy shit. And the thing about Ebola, and you'll see it in the show in Pandemic.
Yeah.
It spreads, but like they wear those Tyvek suits, like those we'll call
Yep.
it mop gear, because it's through contact, like physical
Yes.
contact, sweat,
Yep.
tears, you know. If somebody's dropping some love juice on your chest, you're gonna get it. Whatever,
You're gonna get it.
you're gonna
Yep.
contract it
Love
from
juice. Love juice.
That's
Talking
right.
about love juice. All right. Yeah, dude. Like that. Yeah, it was definitely an Ebola movie, right? Like that's what it was. I think the death rate of Ebola is like 100%, right?
Dude,
If you get
50,000
it, yeah.
people contracted it in Africa or in West Africa, and I think like 23,000 died. It was a crazy like 50% death rate.
Yeah, that's
So
insane.
that's insane. It never made it to the U.S. We had like one case in San Antonio, and I think that was it.
Yeah, yeah, because it was like the person that flew from there had it, and then the nurse didn't know that they had Ebola because they had never seen it before.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that they talk about in the pandemic, right? The lady who does it. Like, dude, oh, I wanted to bring this up. Like, it's weird watching the lady, the infectious disease lady,
Mm-hmm.
give those speeches, right? Because you can tell none of the people watching are paying attention,
Right.
right? Like they have listen, it was a PowerPoint presentation, so they have the PowerPoint face, right?
Yeah,
Where
they did.
they're not paying attention. They're just like, yeah. Or you're just like, yeah, You know what I mean? Like fake head nodding, like you're agreeing, but you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Like I think that's one of the things I noticed with the movie was like because she's so passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that she lives and breathes that shit. She's like the Dustin Hoffman character
Right.
of real life. You could tell the other people don't take it as seriously because it's never, you know what I mean? In their lifetime, nothing like that's ever happened. I guarantee you, the next time this lady does those PowerPoint presentations, they're gonna pay attention because now they've lived it,
Right.
right? Like I felt like, and you couldn't see their badges or their names or their titles, but I felt like the people who were there were like the people who were like, oh, hey man, guess what? Tomorrow morning you got a presentation. You know what I mean? Like the person who should have been there wasn't there, so
Right.
like they just passed the buck to like the next person now. Like we know what that's like. we're in the military, right? Like the
We need a
officers,
represent. We
whatever.
need a rep. We need a representative. I need you to go
Yeah,
out there and represent the agency or the office or the whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
the
Do you
department.
remember how like when that person came back to the unit, how stupid that was because they didn't tell you shit? You would just ask them, yo, man, how was that presentation? Oh man, it was good.
It was, yeah.
All right, yeah, what they tell you? I can tell you. Hey man, like the fuck you go there for? Again, but like we're guilty of that too because like we didn't care or have the follow up questions to think about any shit like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you went into mop gear, like how serious were you checking your mop?
I know I
You know what I mean?
was, but I was the my additional duty was the MBC or the
NBC,
CBRN NCO,
yeah,
and so I went to like that 1 week or 2 week school or whatever it was,
yeah,
um, and so I took that shit seriously. But then I also fucked around and I would put extra CS gas in the chamber to fuck everyone up.
yeah. Of course you
While
did.
I'm in there, like taking my mask off and doing jumping jacks and push-ups, and like
Yeah, because
trying.
you're used to it because you're burned out on it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, dude. Like, you know, no, listen again. Like, but because you're the subject matter expert, right? Like, it's different for you because you have that knowledge. But
Right.
like, it's harder for other people who don't have that same passion to follow it, right? Like and I think that's what's happening. And like, a lot of us are like, nah, man, it's not gonna get us. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, even there's part of me that's like that. Being completely honest, like, I'll be fine. Like, I live pretty far away from everybody. I only have to go into town for like a couple minutes. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Overall, I'll be fine. But like that arrogance doesn't apply to, you know what I mean? Doesn't apply to everybody because not a lot of people who live in apartments don't have that same benefit. You know what I mean? People who live in major cities who have to be around a bunch of people have
Right.
a different effect on it. Dude, so it was just weird. But that movie was like, it was hard. Like, I started watching it last night and I was like, this is stupid. I shouldn't watch. Like, I cut it off. Like, I cut it off right at the hospital scene where shit gets crazy. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is stupid. Like, I shouldn't be watching this now. Like,
No, you
I'll just
definitely
watch this
shouldn't.
shit tomorrow or something. Like, this
No.
is
Yeah, yeah. That movie's crazy. I think you're better off watching Pandemic because at least Pandemic it's informative. It's really what
yeah,
it's telling you. Like you see what they're doing behind the scenes as far as the science goes. Then you get to
yep,
see like the hippies out in Portland and or out in Oregon and how they don't believe in science and vaccines cause
frustrating.
autism. So you get to see like different points of views. And
Yeah,
to me, it's not that bad. Like it's called Pandemic, but it's
that's
not.
Information. It's
It's
education though.
informational,
Like, it,
but
yeah,
Outbreak, which is just it's I was gonna say it's sensationalizing a
yes,
pandemic, and because it's a movie, it's a Hollywood whatever movie, and
yeah,
that's
of
what it's
course it
supposed
is.
to do.
Yeah,
But it's not too far from the truth. I mean, like that
it's
stuff didn't
really
happen.
not though. That's the fucked up thing. Like, it's like I watched that because I've seen like a couple.
So you don't
It's
want to watch
not.
that shit. It's gonna fuck your
Yeah,
head.
it's not
It's gonna fuck
so
your head up.
far. It's not so far from the truth because pandemic kind of goes like how they're testing animals and all this
Hmm.
other stuff. I was like, that's what can make the jump. Like, oh, if this disease makes the jump, we're fucked. Or if that disease makes the jump to humans, we're super fucked.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not so far away from reality where it gets really strange. But then like you get the sensationalism of Hollywood makes it 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like it makes it 1,000 times worse. But yeah, I mean, I watched it. I finished it. Everybody lived. That well, not Kevin Spacey died. Whatever.
Yeah. I think he died in real life too, right? At least his
Yeah,
career did.
basically. Yeah. I mean, he did try to allegedly fuck like a 14 or 16-year-old boy. So there's that part of it.
There is that
So
part.
it was a little weird, a little weird. So yeah, dude. I don't know how to segue away from Kevin Spacey trying to have sex with a dude.
How about
Um,
Jared Kushner trying to fuck everybody over in the properties that he owns in Maryland and Virginia and New York?
I mean, obviously,
He's
right?
a slumlord. At
Obviously,
least so I've learned from stuff I've heard in the news, and then I ended up watching Dirty Money, and I saw the episode with Jared Kushner last night. Interesting
which
stuff.
episode?
Episode 3, I think. Slumlord Millionaire.
Tell me, tell me about this episode, bro. I'm gonna
Huh?
watch it, but tell me about
Okay.
this episode.
All right. I mean, so essentially, New York is one of those states because it's so heavily populated. They need to have things like rent control in place, right? So that landlords
Right.
don't skyrocket the rent.
Destroy.
Yeah,
Yep.
because what and so they have things they have protections there for tenants such as not allowing landlords to increase the rent exponentially, not
Hmm.
or also allowing tenants to renew their lease. So if your lease is up after a year, like in most places, if you have a lease a couple months before your lease is up, like your the property management company is like, hey, are you renewing, whatever, and then you
Yep.
renew. Or if you
Yep.
don't, or if you don't say anything, it renews automatically for another year. New
Hmm.
York, because it's so densely populated and because they have a lot of like real estate. It's $1 trillion real estate market, and so a lot of companies they'll buy these apartment complexes. And Jared Kushner, since that's the example they use as the guy we're going after, um, they'll start construction on these apartment complexes. They'll start construction, and essentially they can, because New York has rent control protections, and because you can't just kick someone out, you have to allow them to renew their lease. What happens is that Jared Kushner can't kick him out, so he'll start construction instead, and he'll create an environment where these people like they really can't live. Like they have crazy construction going on. People are suffering from like all this dust inhalation, or
Yeah.
they're being exposed to asbestos and all sorts of crazy shit. Like they're not safe living conditions, and so they'll do that. Eventually, force tenants out of all these buildings. They'll renovate, and then they'll either sell them or the rent will go from like $900, $1,100 to $4,000 or $5,000.
That's so
And
fucked
so,
up,
but
bro.
the people that have been living in places like these apartments have been there for, yeah, it's fucked up, 15, 20, 25 years. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they can't afford to go find a new place because every other place is going to be that much, 3,000, 4,000, $5,000. Like they can't afford it. And
Yeah, rent controllers will keep them in those areas and keeps them with a house.
right. And so either they'll do that or they won't perform proper property management, like care of the facilities. And they have people where like one lady's ceiling fell onto her bed. She wasn't at home, but if not, like the concrete and bricks and shit would have fallen on her. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
People that
But
have
die.
leaks, continuous leaks for months. So yeah, I mean he's a slumlord. And then in Virginia and Maryland they do the opposite. So in Virginia and Maryland, there's there tenants can go from one place to another, right? You can find an apartment pretty much, just like in Florida,
Right.
you can just find an apartment. Uh, so what they do is they they're not trying to force people out. They're trying to keep people in, but they tack on these crazy like late fees, and then they'll tack
Mm-hmm.
on a late fee, and then you'll pay your late fee. Like let's say you pay your rent the next month, and they just continuously threaten people with eviction notices. They're not actually going to evict them, but they threaten them with they give them the threat of eviction. And like one lady had four or
If they
five
don't pay
thousand.
like a fee.
Yeah, if they don't pay a fee, or like you might pay your fee, but then the next month, what happens is that fee's deducted from like your rent, and then they add on more fees because you didn't pay your rent fully, and so you're still late. So now you're late on the late fees, and it's a snowball. Like one lady,
Yeah.
Kushner's company bought. She moved out of her apartment complex. She
Mm-hmm.
had a letter saying that because her neighbor, she had like an unstable neighbor or something. It was an unsafe situation for her family. And so the property management company at the time allowed her to move out. There was a letter that said she could break the lease. There would be no penalty. 2 years later, Kushner's company buys that complex, and they go through all the old records, and they're finding names so that they can attach fees and send people letters to charge them fees, even though they don't live there anymore. Some of them.
Jesus.
And so this lady hadn't lived there for 2 years, and she's getting a fee, and she had like 4 or 5 grand, and yeah, it's nuts. Eventually, like her case, an investigative reporter found out about it, and Kushner owns multiple 15 or 16 properties, 8,000 units,
Mm-hmm.
and so this investigative reporter kind of did some researching and put out an article, and then some attorneys kind of did some pro bono work to once the attorneys got involved because she's living paycheck to paycheck as a lot of people
Like
are.
North American.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so she couldn't afford an attorney because what the
And
crazy
most
part is,
corporations.
yeah, and the crazy part is that in these fees that Kushner's companies were charging her, she also had to pay for their attorney's fees. So Kushner just says here are late fees that you owe us, plus you're gonna pay for our attorney's fees, even though you haven't lived here for 2 years.
How's that legal, bro?
Because it is, because the law is there and people don't know and they can't afford an attorney. But once that article made it out, this law firm saw it. They did pro bono work on her side. All they had to do was get involved and send the letter, and immediately Kushner's company just dropped it because they realized, oh shit, someone's fighting back on these bogus bullshit charges.
Yeah, because
Okay,
they're
they
pussies,
dropped
right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah, because they're
and,
pussies.
yeah, because they're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
They're
Like, isn't he like,
go ahead.
and isn't he now like trying to like hoard masks or some shit, or like blaming the states for not asking for enough? Like there was some press conference that he did. He's a terrible person, right? Like
He is a terrible human
he's
being.
he's a Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, there's no human. He's a Carol Baskin, right?
There is no
Like
humanity to that
him
dude. Yeah,
and Stephen Miller, same thing. Like there's nothing behind the eyes. Like they're just fucking dead,
for
right?
sure.
Like at least look, here's a Trump compliment. At least Trump has some emotion on his face because he can't help because of the meth, right? Like the way, like sorry, that was like a backhand compliment. Like my boy Frank, he posted it. I'm sure he'll watch this later, or
I
whatever.
saw it.
Like he posted like, how funny was that, bro? Like all like the muecas and mannerisms he does are out of this world, bro. Like I don't know kids that make that many faces, but like at least he has some humanity to his face in that way.
Yeah.
But like Jared Kushner and Stephen Miller have nothing there, bro. Like these are just terrible. Like Carol Baskin, these just terrible human beings. And Jeff Lowe, fuck that guy too.
Jeff Lowe, yeah.
You know,
That was the biggest con man there. I mean, he was the sanest one, but he was just as complicit in all that bullshit as everyone else was. And it seems like he got away clean.
yeah, dude, it was just fucking fuck Jared Kushner, bro. Like there's nothing there like that. I didn't like him before, you know what I mean? And like now I definitely like him less. Like, but you could see, like everything you told me was like, oh yeah, it seems like something Jared Kushner would do. Like he's a terrible human being. You know, who's another terrible human being? Just gonna shit on this entire administration. Steve Mnuchin. He
Yeah.
did similar things to that, right? Where like he would throw fees on top of people, right? And people that lived in like mobile homes and like older people, like throw all these fees on top of them, like when like older generations that are like on a fixed income, and he would kick them out because he's doing the same thing. He would evict them, or he'd just destroy their entire lives to gentrify or to upbuild the neighborhood. Like the people who have been there for 30, 40, 50 years. You see, like this woman is like, oh, I lived here my entire life. My mom lived in this house. My dad lived in this house, and he just destroys them. I'm just like,
Jesus.
these are like, what? How do you have that level of no humanity, bro? Like just nothing, just nothing.
No, the bottom line is the only thing that they see. Like they don't see people, they see numbers and how it's going to affect my account, my bank account. That's it.
Yeah, and that's. I was having a conversation earlier about that, where like my wife told me like, oh, all you see is like the worst in people because they have money. I was like, no, it's because they don't see people,
Right?
right? They don't understand. Like they don't, and it's not. And maybe they think they're nice people, right? Maybe they think they're doing the right thing, and how they all justify it by taking advantage of laws that they're lawyers that they pay millions of dollars to. But like they're looking at numbers. It's all analytics, right? Like there's no human element to that, to business. So they think it's all good. It's weird, bro.
Yeah,
It's weird.
That's absolutely right. That's how they see it. You know, the crazy part is in that episode about Kushner, the investigative reporter, they don't show all the people he talks to, but he's riding in the car and he's like, I talked to most of them. Most of these people are Trump supporters, and so a few
Right.
there's a couple that he speaks to, and he asks me, he's like, so I think he asked him who they voted for or who they support. He's like, oh, Trump, of course. He's like, oh, so why do you support Trump, or why did you vote for him? And he says, oh, because he makes shit happen. And then they left it at that. And then they cut to the reporter driving away in his car to like, these people are being taken advantage of by Kushner, the son-in-law of the president they support, and they don't even know it. They're supporting this guy, and he's the one that's putting them in the situation where they can't pay rent. They're constantly behind on fees, and it's crazy. Like we've said before, this has been. It's not just Trump. I think it's just all politicians in general, right? Everyone's got some corporation in their pocket, right, or whatever.
It's Pelosi. It's
Sure.
Pelosi. It's Schumer. It's all any politician who takes any money from corporations doesn't matter. Like I was watching a breakdown of the like the $2,400 or the $1,200 a check per person, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't obviously I realized it, but like once you start looking at the numbers, it was like corporations have got in the last 3 years probably about $8 to $10 trillion in either bonuses or tax cuts or tax loopholes or all this other shit, right?
Right.
But they've gotten all that money while also firing people, while also laying people off. Because again, it's not about the employees, it's about the stocks and we talked about like the stock buybacks and all this other shit. Like I don't understand how, and like even like with the most recent tax thing that they got, I think they call it like the CARES Act, which is complete and utter bullshit. Because what is it? If you make over a certain amount of money, you're not getting anything anyway. But even if you got laid off, you probably need that money. But whatever. But corporations got like $4 trillion with no penalty if they start laying. They could immediately lay off 10% of their staff, right? Of their employees, and then after 6 months, just do whatever you want. So if this keeps getting worse and that corporation keeps losing money because they got to pay their employees,
Mm-hmm.
they could terminate the entire thing and keep all the money with no penalty.
That's fucking nuts.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
and then like
crazy.
we're supposed to look at that shit like, oh, hey, motherfucker, you better be happy you're getting $1,200. It's almost like a bribe. Hey, here's $1,200 or 2,400 or
Mm-hmm.
3,400 total. You have 2 kids and you make under 150 grand together, right? Like all these means, all these testing to see if you qualify, but none of that'll matter if you lose your job, right? If that company you had was like, hey man, I'm taking all this money and I'm out
Right.
because they got to pay out their stockholders and all this other shit. Dude, it's annoying, bro. It's
Yeah.
annoying. And I don't think, and I go off on this shit a lot, right? You see my Facebook. I don't think anything I'm saying is that outlandish. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Some shit I say is trolling, 100%. But like when I'm talking about the economy, I was like, yo, this economy is so strong, but it couldn't even take a cold. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how strong this economy is. That's what you're gonna hype up. You for 3 years, you told me how great this economy is. It's the greatest it's ever been in the history of numbers, big numbers, little numbers,
All the
middle
numbers.
numbers, all the numbers,
Yeah.
all the numbers. The greatest economy. You're telling me 2 months, it's fucked. We need to bail out all these corporations, all this shit. They had no plan for this. But we better be happy with a $1,200 to $3,400 check at one time and shut the fuck up. Like that's what we got to do. How is anything I'm saying that fucking outlandish, bro? Like you could tell me, like you're the more reasonable person usually on this podcast, right? Like usually
Yeah.
I'm not quite Chris, right? I'm not quite our brother, right? But I'm not quite there. But
Wishing death
I
upon people, or that their kids get kidnapped.
and kidnapping, you know what I mean? Like we're not there, and I'm not there. But like I don't think anything I'm saying is that crazy, bro. Like, and people take offense to it. Like I'm saying, like, dude, this isn't a Trump thing. This was left, right, conservative, all that shit. There was maybe one person speaking against it, and even he didn't put up that much fight against it, which is Bernie Sanders. Should have been a lot more safety nets for the working person
Right.
because there's a lot more of us than there is of them, and we're just like, man, but I'm getting 3,400. Got to be happy. Shut the fuck up. Trump did it all.
Pick yourself up
What
by
the
your bootstraps.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
all that
you're
shit,
getting
bro.
3,400 or 1,900, and then you're probably going to lose your job anyway. So, which
Yeah,
is the crazy thing, because these tax cuts and the tax cuts, the bailouts, it goes back to the bullshit with trickle down economics. Like it's supposed to trickle down to the people, but it doesn't. It goes back into the
never,
dividends and the shareholders and the company's bottom line, not employees,
yes,
not hiring more people, not creating more jobs. It never does. It never
never,
does. And
never
now
has.
they're gonna get bailed out, but people like you said, people are gonna get fired, but these companies are getting billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
To
Trillion,
what?
yeah,
Yeah, trillion. To what?
yeah.
They're not covering employees because they're firing them. So where's
Yep.
that money going to? It's not going to the employees they fired.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Because they're
It,
not gonna get a pension.
no, they're not.
Because their pension is tied to whatever stock market shit that the company decided to bend in on, right?
Hmm.
Because that money was probably like a friend of the CEO's, like, hey man, I got this company that does 401ks. Work with me this way. When you start really looking at this shit, dude, it's not that difficult. If you saw The Big Short, you see how much of a
Hmm.
scam all of it.
Yeah.
If you read the book, you see how much of a scam all of it is. Again, it's not like they're hiding it, bro. This is one of the biggest giveaways in American history. It's 4 trillion now, but it's open ended. So like where they can just keep coming back to getting
Right.
whatever they want. But for us, it's set at 12 to 3,400 one time. That's it. That's it. But what, like, here's a stupid question, right? Because I'm an asshole. What happens to the small business owner who owns a tattoo shop? What happens to the barbers? You know what I
That
mean?
are
Who
shut
own their
down.
own barber,
Right.
who are getting shut down? What happens to all of them whose literally basis is all cash, right? The nail salons, the hairstylists, all those places, they're not gonna get bailed out. No,
Hmm.
but Walmart will get more money. Boeing will get more money. You name a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's going to be in the trillions, all because of stocks, all on paper with no workforce. But again, I'm the asshole that's being too outlandish and too crazy. Cool, bro. 10 million people are now on unemployment. I think 3.4 in the first week in Florida. Nobody as of yet has gotten an unemployment check. This shit started 3 weeks ago. As of yet, supposed to be within 5 days. everything's still pending. Also, because Florida are assholes, and the senator that's of the state was a governor, tight fisted everything and made everything harder for unemployment because people think if you're on unemployment, you're gonna want to stay on there forever. Again, the lazy poor person is the biggest criminal of them all.
Right. That line of rhetoric, right? The people are just gonna want to hand out. You're lazy, you're poor, and you know, if you get it once, you're gonna want to stay on it, and people fall for that bullshit.
Yes.
And again, you know, we my cousin, who's a smart guy, but the one guy that you saw like on Chris's
Oh
Facebook,
yeah.
you're like, hey, what's up with this dude's English? I'm like, no, his English is actually pretty good because he doesn't live here.
Eric,
That's not his native language, and he's always posting memes about like kicking communists down and kicking them in the face and how it would make my day if I shoot them in the face. I don't know, some crazy shit. Always something about putting socialists down, right? And I'm like, dude, but like, as if we want a completely socialist state in this country or a communist state.
Correct.
And again, it's always Venezuela and that's where he grew up. And I'm like, dude, you're the same talking points as the people here in the U.S. Like, it's always Venezuela and Cuba. Why? Why can't it be the Nordic countries and European countries that have social programs and safety nets for their people, but they still have a free market economy? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't Spain, where he lives, program like national attack? Like, it's private healthcare, right? Like, I think you can get like supplemental private healthcare.
You can.
Everybody has a base healthcare.
Yeah.
Every European country.
Yeah.
So weird that he's so lean. Like, it's a little weird. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So he's always him and the other people here in the U.S. that are always preaching that and always fighting that line of, you know, poor people. They just want money. They just want a handout, and then they don't want to go work. And we can't have that in the U.S. It's going to turn to Venezuela and Cuba. And I'm like, dude, like those aren't the only two countries. And the reason why they're failed states is because they're fucking third world countries. This isn't a third world country.
Yes.
Again, look at the Nordic model. We are more aligned with them. They have a free market economy or a mixed market economy, but they have safety nets for their people. I am going to restart you, by the way, because you are coming in like a freaking Minecraft character. You may need to exit and then come back in. I hear you. You're coming.
I am looking quite blocky.
Yeah.
All right. I'll come back.
All right. Again, these are the issues that we face when you have a co-host or a host that's using internet from not 19. I can't upgrade them like that, from 1857. All right. Before the Civil War. Let's see if this dude got back on. All right. And we are back. Or Benjamin's back. I upgraded you, by the way. I said this is what happens when you have internet from 1900. I stopped myself from saying the year because I was like, no. He's still in the 1800s. This dude is like pre-Civil War era. Whoa. And I lost him again. I'm telling you. What is going on? These are the issues that you get when you try to go live and it's raining and someone's using satellite internet.
We'll be back. Sorry, man. Back? I was closing out a couple tabs. And listen, I probably at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, just I axed out them too many because I closed out like my Gmail one over was a Wirecast. I was like, oh shit.
If that's not a sign that you need to stop drinking, I don't know what is.
No, yeah, I'm definitely gonna slow step this last one. But listen, yeah. So you were like, listen, man. We're talking about European countries and like the talking points of the rhetoric, Venezuela and fucking and what is it, Cuba? Like again, this morning I was in a line house. If that's not the talking point that was always brought up, right, that we're gonna be some communist country, I have a picture of it right now on my social media, bro. Like all the stuff that I saw of like Venezuela being a failed state and Cuba being a failed state because they have limited goods. I set my alarm to go buy groceries to ensure that I had stuff I needed for the week. When the fuck I ever had to do that in the history of my life? in the history of ever, bro.
In the history of ever.
Of ever. In the history of ever, bro. Like that's never happened. Not since like maybe the Great Recession. Like I had to make a line standing with other people wearing masks and fucking gloves like a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm in 12 Monkeys. You know what I mean? To figure shit out, bro. Like
Great movie.
that's fucking great movie. That's fucking crazy. Like that doesn't again, but like people are missing the forest through the trees. Like we're in this shit right now, bro. Like you're being forced to stay at home, right? By guidelines. If you do go out, you're gonna have to basically elbow a bitch from some toilet paper or some chicken. You know what I mean? The shelves aren't stocked fully. So like what are we talking about, man? You're in the shit now. You're in it. And then again, hey, newsflash, motherfuckers. The $4 trillion that the money was for corporations is socialism. That's corporate socialism 1,000%. That's our. What do you think they get the money from? From our taxes. But we're being told the limit of what we can have. But I'm the asshole that makes some comments on Facebook that upsets people. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Ah, damn it. It's so stupid.
You can get 1,900. We'll give a few trillion to these companies. And by the way, they're firing you too. So figure out how to get more money. Hope this 1,900 gets you by the next month or 2 or 3.
And then figure out how you're going to have health insurance when you or your children get sick because the main breadwinner of the house just lost their job. Because then what happens? Hey, because guess what? Your health insurance is tied to your fucking employer. Because then what are you gonna do? Make the line to get jobs that a whole bunch of other millions of people are trying to get? Okay, figure that one out. Then what are you gonna do? Join the military? Welcome to socialism, bitch.
Yeah, and then
now you're in it.
Then you have free healthcare, right? Well, it's not free; it's paid by taxes because it's socialism or it's socialized healthcare.
It's just listen, man. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. Again, none of what we're saying is a lie. Like that's the other fucked up thing about it, right? Like none of it. Maybe somebody can give me like an opposing point of view, but they can't argue with the facts. That's exactly what it is, bro. It's exactly what it is.
They'll definitely try to argue with facts.
Oh no, 100%. It's because they'll argue facts with their feelings, and I'll just be like, all right, point me to an article that says that. Point me to a law that's like, how is this not socialism? Donald Trump calling for the Defense Preparedness Act for the GM
forcing these multinationals to make stuff. The government is telling this company, you will do this.
It's literally the definition of socialism, right? Like nationalizing corporations.
Yeah.
And then 3M. Oh, but remember, John, corporations will always take care of the people. 3M tried to fuck Donald Trump and try to fuck the government and the American people to try to get more money out of them. So they extorted them again because corporations don't give a fuck about your feelings. It's all about profit, man. It's all profit driven. It's not anything else. And that money doesn't go to any employee. There's no employee that's working that is going to get a raise because of it. The CEO will get a windfall. The board will get a windfall. The shareholders will get a windfall, and that's it. Because 98% of the people that work for these companies don't own any stock in that company.
Yeah,
so they don't. You know what I mean? So what the fuck are we talking about? I don't know, bro. I don't know. It makes me mad, bro. It makes me mad because it's I'm an asshole on the internet, John. I'm an asshole in real life,
though. Just in case people didn't know, you're also an asshole.
I was about to say that. In real life, I'm also an asshole, right? But even I know that. Even I can see that. Again, but it's not this. Donald Trump isn't the symptom of all of this. He just gives fans congratulations, kudos to him. Mm-hmm. This is a systematic issue. It didn't matter. Like it wouldn't have mattered if Joe Biden. I'll say right now, if Joe Biden was in office, the same bill would have passed. The same thing would have been done.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't have been any different. It might have been less money for. Honestly, it probably would have been less money for the people. It would have been more money to the corporations because it's completely rigged. Right? The entire system was completely rigged. It's not Donald Trump. It's everything. But Donald Trump didn't change it. He just kept the fucking paddle moving. Mm-hmm. Fuck out of here, bro. He's gonna drain the swamp, eat a bag of dicks. How about that? I get real aggressive when I drink, bro.
Jesus Christ.
I get real aggressive.
I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, you know what? I'm glad I'm not an angry drunk, but now I know what kind of drunk you are.
No, I'm actually not an angry drunk. I enjoy this shit. Like I don't carry none of this with me. Like I don't walk around and just say, fuck them. No, it's just the topic we're talking about. Like You didn't hear me say kidnap anybody's kids, right? Like I kept that
I
out of
mean,
it.
but you told him to eat a bag of dicks. It's
I feel like that's less. I feel like that's less threatening.
is it? That's, how big is the bag? Are we talking about like a
I
13
mean,
gallon trash bag? Or are we talking about a
no, no.
plastic bag?
Like if we're gonna put a number on it, it would definitely be like a 39-gallon trash bag of dicks,
Is it
and then
like
also
is it like Santa Claus? Like it's the bottomless bag, with
yeah,
the,
it'd be like
never
like the
ending.
toy bag of money. You know the toy bag of money that has like the big dollar sign on it.
Hmm.
It'd just be one big dick on the on the bag. Just,
All right.
speaking of fucking idiots, let's talk about this John Jones thing, man. We talked about it the last three,
Uh-huh.
and I was watching Dr. Drew. He was on Fighter and the Kid,
Hmm.
and they kind of just said that like till he goes to prison, he's not gonna learn his lesson. And I don't even think even then he's gonna be any better, bro.
No, I think that's
No,
with anything. People don't learn until they see the consequences and they feel them and they experience the consequences, right?
how many
Being
times does he
banned
have to
from the
go to court,
UFC
dude?
for a year, when
Yeah,
he's like, I'm 27, I'll just fight again when I'm 28. I'll still be in my prime. That doesn't do anything to anyone,
yep,
right? You give someone a 5-year ban from the UFC when they're 27, that might have changed his whole fucking perspective. Maybe.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You have to you commit a hit and run and then you come back just to grab your drugs, like you
yep.
and you just it's a slap on the wrist. These guys, at least at the John Jones level, when he's making that kind of money, he's not making McGregor money because he didn't have that kind of personality that changed the sport.
Hmm.
You know, he's a phenom when it comes to how he fights, and he's one of the greatest I've seen fight. But he
Yep.
was making good money, and so when you're at that level where you feel like you're untouchable, nothing's going to nothing's going to change the way you do things unless you feel consequences. And he hasn't really had any real
True.
consequences. A fine,
None.
a year suspension, that shit doesn't
Probation
do anything. He's just going to do more coke until
doesn't
his
do
year's
it.
up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like I saw that he had actually like the week before he fought Dominic Reyes was like on in Miami
Uh huh.
getting fucked up, you know, buying bottles and getting drunk. So he's an addict, right? Like that's
Yeah.
who he is. But us as fans, like it's like, dude, like you only have a limited time to do this. Like you've lost tens of millions of dollars, not hundreds of millions, right? Because no UFC fighter will make that. The only reason McGregor made that kind of money was because of Mayweather. Like let's you know what I mean. Regardless, I
Yeah.
think the most Mayweather gets paid like anywhere between $3 to $12 million. So it's tens of millions, right? You lost, that's life changing money, right? And for you to just us as fans, like, dude, like you've been given this great. He's so and Ariel Hawani said it perfectly. He's Doc Gooden, Daryl Strawberry,
Yeah.
Lawrence Tate. Exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Like he's not Mike Trout. He's not Bryce Harper. He's not Michael Jordan. He's not LeBron James. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not any of those greats. He's on that lower tier where yes, he's great and yes, he fights because the UFC doesn't give a fuck about their fighters. Just like corporations don't give, because corporations don't give a fuck about people,
Right.
right?
That's what
Though
UFC is.
you think they lose, yeah, you think losing Rory McDonald, right? Using a random fighter, oh, that's gonna hurt him. No, it won't. They'll have another one in 7 years. They'll have Kamaru Usman or George Masvidal, right? Because it's a cattle call, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fighting is one thing or another. So just watching that, where like, yeah, they're not gonna care. They're not gonna punish him. Like the only reason they suspended him was because he failed drug tests. Right? They stripped him of the title because they were giving public pressure. Before, when they were a smaller company, they wouldn't have done that. Like they've had plenty of fighters that get in trouble, but he's a habitual offender. He's an addict, right? That's who he is.
Mhm.
He's just not cut out. Maybe he doesn't have that part of him that's cut out for that greatness.
Right.
But maybe that's also what makes him great. But he'll never be a McGregor. He'll never be a Ronda Rousey. He'll never, you know what I mean? He'll never be a Henry Cejudo, not Henry Cejudo, but
Fuck, I
I
can't believe you
apologize.
just said that name. Dude, I'm gonna
I
just,
meant to say
I'm going
I
to
meant to
disconnect
say,
you right now. Henry
you should.
Cejudo, that piece of crap.
He's never going to be a Mighty Mouse, a George St. Pierre,
Hmm.
and Anderson Silva tested
Anderson
out for
Silva.
drugs at the end of his career, though, when he
Yeah.
was already too old, which makes sense. Okay, of course you take it then because you're trying to hang with the young guys.
Yeah.
I give him no punishment for that, but you'll never be them guys.
It's like Hoist
And
Gracie did it at the end of his career too. That dude was like 45
Exactly.
and he's looking like all jacked. I'm like, how are you twice as big as you are? Like, and when you're
Naturally.
25, you were
Yeah,
looking like me, and then you're 45 and you're looking like you packed on, I think it was 25 or 30 pounds of muscle. Nah, you don't do that shit in
yeah.
6 months.
That's the juice, huh? That's
Yeah.
the juice. You know what I mean? Like it's gotten to this point where I'm like, I don't care, but it's frustrating. It's like, dude, like, how many chances do you need? Like, it's gonna be 5 years after he retires. At most, he's gonna be in prison for something. Because, like, we talked about it, he's been busy now, right?
Yeah.
When he doesn't have fighting, then what? What's to stop him?
OJ part two.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
OJ, by
would.
the way, with the
Go back.
alleged, since he was found not guilty, alleged murder of Ron Goldman and his wife, and then robbing a casino. Is that what it was? A few years back? Oh, I heard
No,
that headline years ago. I was like, did this dude try to rob a
this
casino? Is that right?
this is what this idiot did. He tried to steal back his own memorabilia. Hey, bro, you're OJ. You got away with murder, right? You Because
Yeah.
I think
You're
after
also
25
OJ.
years,
Why do you need memorabilia? Like, you just show up and you say, I am the memorabilia. Like, what the fuck do you need a Heisman Trophy
like,
for, dude?
exactly, bro. First of all, you got away with murder. You ride off into the sunset if you
For
do
sure.
that. You don't fuck around with anything else, right? You don't become like that. That there was a producer, an actor named Robert Blake, who like killed two people, so got
Yeah.
rid of the first, got acquitted of the first one, and then did it again because he's a serial killer. So he got the second charge. Like, you kind of just ride off into the sunset. But if you're gonna commit another crime, you kill again, right? Like, you don't go to jail for stealing memorabilia. Like, that's, if you cut off two people's heads,
Yeah.
you don't then go down to petty larceny,
No, you
right?
don't.
Like,
By the way, you mentioned Robert Blake. That dude, one of them was his wife, right?
yes,
I
no, both of them.
remember.
One was
But
his wife, one was his girlfriend, I think.
that dude, I pulled him up because I remember. I just wanted to get a look at his face again. He looks like a fucking psychopath, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I remember
yes.
I saw him in some this crazy ass movie. I can't remember, but even when I saw him in that movie, he looked like he was fucking nuts. I'm not surprised. Like, he's the villain. He looks like a fucking villain.
Yes.
Like this, someone you would cast as a serial killer.
He
Fucking
and there was another
crazy.
producer that like also killed his girlfriend, like killed his wife and then killed his girlfriend. Like, something Spectre, I think it was like Elliot Spectre or some shit. Like the one with like the crazy white hair. He
Uh
was like
huh.
a producer in like the 70s of like rock. It was like the same vein, obviously white guy, in the same vein of Robert Blake. Like, he got away with it the first time,
Uh
and then he did it again because he's a fucking serial killer.
huh.
and then and then did it again. I was like, dude, like, again, like, if you get away with murder, just quit. But I guess you're a murderer and you can't really, your fucking moral compass isn't all there. Like, at least OJ, if you give him any kind of excuse, he had brain trauma, right? Like, he was probably a
Yeah,
different person before he played
CTE or
football.
some shit. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like, you get kind of give him that. Even that wasn't even the argument back in the 90s. You know what I mean? So, like, even
uh-huh.
that you go with that, like, it's weird, bro. Or I'm like, you don't steal your own shit back. You kind of just let that go. You got the money, bro. Make some appearances. You know what I mean? Do like celebrity boxing matches where you get the money and just ride off into the sunset, and then do a reality TV show, because it could have been on the Kardashians, because you're probably two of their parents anyway. So it is what it is.
For
But
sure.
is that
Right?
not
Yeah.
right?
No.
Like 100%, right? Like, he was banging her out. He was 100% banging out Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Are we real quick?
everyone except Bruce Jenner was having sex with Bruce Jenner's
Yeah.
wife, apparently.
I was about to go dark. Like, I feel like there was an abducted in plain sight situation
Jesus.
where that's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? Like, where he probably fucked them both. Is all I'm saying. No, because because their actual dad, right, allegedly was on the team, right? Like, that's how he met. That's how he was banging out Chris Jenner.
The
Was, I
attorney?
think,
I
yeah,
can't
the
remember his
attorney.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob. I think it was like Robert Kardashian.
Roberts. Yeah, that dude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. It's fucking madness. My dog went from crying to falling asleep, bro. Fuck this dog. Jesus Christ. It's the downside of having a dog in the room while I podcast. But yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, dude, I can't drink like I'm like at 1.5 cups, and if I finish this second, I'm done for the rest of the day. Which there's nothing to do because it's raining the entire day, so fuck
Right.
it. But who gives a shit? My tolerance isn't what it used to be, bro.
I don't drink that much. I only just now start, like, I'll have wine with Mel every once in a while.
Right.
But to just be sitting at 1 p.m. and just grab grab
Yeah, it's
some
definitely
Jack
not
and
my
start
thing.
drinking. That's not what I do.
No, definitely not. This is a. I'm not gonna say at first because I was in the army. You know what I mean? Like I've drank earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember my boy Eaton who listens to this shit, and there used to be roommates Eaton and DeBerry, right?
Yeah.
My two homies, one from Tennessee and one from Iowa. I want to say Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we because we were in Hawaii, we start drinking at like 6 a.m. because of the time difference, right? Like we'd
Mm-hmm.
get up, right? They put like tons of like natural ice, like whatever white people beer,
Natty,
that
yeah, Natty
natty ice.
Light. That's what they drink. Natty Light and PBR.
Yeah, exactly. So
Tastes like
they have
crap.
that in the what they would do is they fill their bathtub full of ice and natty. So like 6 a.m. when the first game kicks off,
Mm-hmm.
in the States because it's 12,
Right, right,
we
right.
drink and get fucked up by like 9 or 10, and then we'd pass out, or one of us, somebody who wasn't drinking, will go to like Jack in the Box, and then and then come back. We'd eat the Jack in the Box, and then we drink to the night game. Then we'd pass out to the night game, which was like around 2 or 3. Usually it'd be like a Tennessee game or whatever. We'd like watch it on in the quad. Dude, it was wild.
You passed out
Oh,
at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Fucking,
eh.
and
No,
it's
I
what,
passed
10
out.
o'clock at night in the States and like the East Coast.
Yeah, it's like the games were over at 3 or 4, so we
Yeah,
get still like pass back out, nap out, and then go to the club. You know what I mean? Like 10 or 11, because you're good. Like you've literally drank the entire day and
yeah.
hope you didn't overdo it, and then you were just useless.
No, you sleep for like 5 or 6 hours. You wake up, it's 10 or 11, and then you go out, and then you
Yeah,
pregame, so you're good.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's how you literally start pre-gaming at 6 a.m., which just gets weird. Because if
That's
you went out the
dangerous.
night before, there was a chance you didn't sleep because you'd walk up and then repeat like you get home at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You'd walk up and there's already people outside starting to drink. Like, hey man, what are you doing? We're fucking drinking. I'm like, okay, I guess we drinking then. I guess it's just what we doing.
I guess that's what's happening right now. Yeah.
I guess that shit. You got Korea under your belt.
Yeah, your boy Frank mentioned that
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah,
Whew.
man.
I'm glad that I never I didn't fall for that. Like, hey, let's have a bowl of soju because like soju that they'll mix it in with some flavor, fruit punch or pineapple or some bullshit, and it's just this
Right.
big bowl, and they have 8 or 9, 5, 6, 8, whatever straws, however many people are drinking from the bowl.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing that no one had COVID-19 back in the day, and you
For
put
real.
eight straws in the bowl and you just drink, and
Or Ebola.
yeah, and I knew better. I was like, no, I'm not about to drink. But you'd see people drink. Well, I remember this one dude. He drank. He's like, I'm gonna drink it by myself. I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. It's fruity. It's whatever. I was like, dude, I know it's good. It goes down easy. But as soon as you stand up, you're gonna sit your ass right back down. Which is what Frank said about his boy. He said that
Yeah.
dude stood up, took a step, and fell on his face, and he
Basement.
spent. And that story is funny because it's all true. Like it's true all
Yeah.
over Korea. If anyone's been in Korea, and I think after 2006 or something, some of that stuff changed, but prostitution was open, like legal over there. They changed the prostitution laws. So he he said that his boy spent the rest of the night with some 6 foot Russian hooker or prostitute,
Yeah.
like just putting ice on his nose, because that's what
Yeah.
it was. That was out in the open,
Crazy.
and you'd see these. Some of us were some dumb GIs going out there doing
Yeah.
stupid shit, making the other Americans and other Westerners look silly, and that's what we're putting out
Yeah.
to the
For
world,
sure.
getting fucked up. I know because I used to
You
carry.
do.
I'm not gonna put his name out, but me and my boy used to carry one dude. I'm not gonna say it was my squad leader, but that dude was
Right.
like six
What you
four,
just did.
basketball
What you
player.
just did.
Oh shit! I didn't say his name though. It's all right. I'll be fine.
I'm not gonna say he was my squad leader, but he was.
That dude was like 6'4", like 220. And look, I don't think he knows this, so and he's not gonna see this, so it's fine. But we'd go out bar hopping, and he'd order drinks for all of us. And he'd tell the bartender like, "Oh, hey, we're doing shots, tequila or vodka or fucking flaming Dr Peppers." And
Oh,
so I'd
no.
start off the night with one flaming Dr Pepper. Yeah, let's do it. Throw that shit back. And then
That sounds
after the
terrible.
flaming Dr Pepper, he'd get some whiskey or get some whatever. Or no, he'd do clear liquor, so like vodka or some shit. And I would look at her, the bartender, and be like, "Pour some water in my shit, all right?" And then I'd have to look at the tab to make sure that she was charging for water and not some bullshit trying to
Yeah.
take. Because he's paying, he's buying drinks, and
Yeah.
And so after the first time, I knew I had to just drink water because I was gonna end up carrying his ass back. My
Mm-hmm.
5'4", 150 pound, me and this other dude carrying this dude
Five
who's
foot four is
six.
a little bit liberal with it.
Hey, hey, hey! With
Oh,
boots on or with
a little
shoes
bit.
with enough cushioning, I'm 5'4". All
Mm.
right, just leave it at that.
That's not how that
And
counts.
we're carrying
Well,
this dude back. And the good part is that we were in finance. That was our MOS. So anytime anyone came into Korea, they went through the finance brief. And so they'd see
right.
our face. Like we would brief everybody. So 35, 40,
Mm-hmm.
50 people every day, they came through and we talked about their entitlements and all this shit. And so they saw our face. And so me and my boy and then my not squad leader,
Mm-hmm.
they knew our face. And so he talks shit the whole time. He talks shit. We walk up the sidewalk, walking back to the gate. I'm like, shit, we got to make curfew. Like, we're 15, 20 minutes out. And then if we don't, we'll make curfew. But then are we going to make the last bus? Because the bus stop's running at a certain time. So we might make curfew. But
Mm-hmm.
if we don't catch the last bus, we're walking 2 miles to the damn barracks. I know it's 2 miles because I used to run the damn perimeter. And it was a 6 mile
Right.
run. And from where we caught the bus, it was 2 miles to the barracks. And there were a few
Right.
times that we didn't make that last bus. And there were a few times where we would make that last bus, and he would shit talk everyone on the bus. And then me and this other dude would have to, like as PFCs, we'd have to calm everyone down. Like this dude, he's just fucked up. Like, chill the
Yeah.
fuck out. Like, you're gonna see him tomorrow. We're gonna be playing ball. Relax. He's just talking shit out of. He's just talking out of his
Yeah.
ass. Let it go. That was Korea, and that's what soju does to somebody.
Jesus Christ. Fuck all of that shit.
Yeah.
I don't there was nothing like that in Hawaii where we had a drink. We just all drank together. You know what I mean? Like there was bars and stuff, but it wasn't anything like I remember for my 21st birthday, all my friends and shit bought me 21 shots. Right? Like I think I had like it was one for good luck.
That's classic.
Obviously obviously that night I can either confirm nor deny that I danced with a very big girl at a club and I thought she was bad. Till I saw her the next day. It was a dangerous situation. But dude, I was so fucked up. I was so gone. But yeah, ever since then I kinda just stopped drinking.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I drink socially, but it'll be a drink or two, and or I'll babysit my drink. So if someone
People
offers a drink, I always have a drink in my hand. Oh shit! Did I lose you, or are you just staring out to the side? Oh no, you're
I'm
still
staring
there.
off to the side because my wife came to grab the dog.
Yeah, no, man. I don't. Like I said, I'll babysit a drink. I'll just hold on to it. So if someone offers to buy me a drink, I'll constantly have the same drink. That's probably some warm ass beer that's been in my hand for like an hour and a half. Just
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
No,
do any of
dude.
that shit. And I
Yeah, dude,
learned
it's
I learned through I learned through personal experience. When I went to Florida State, I remember I went up to this party like that these girls were having in the apartment above me, and
right.
and I had the 7 Up, the big gulp. I had that. We were
Yeah.
playing cards, and I had it filled with OJ
You
and
already know.
vodka. OJ and vodka,
Yeah.
right?
No, yeah.
Just
It's a screwdriver. Yeah,
screwdriver,
screwdriver.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
drinking was it? I think it was Coors. Drinking Coors with whatever stupid card game we were playing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the night. I wasn't blackout drunk, but I was an 18-year-old kid.
Yes. Never been
I
away from
was
home.
holding
Yeah.
onto the railing for dear fucking life, making it from the second floor down to my first floor apartment. Every step I took, everything was just like, where the fuck is this next step? Is it there? I would just close my eyes and put my foot down. And when I felt something solid, I'm like, all right, I made it. I'd open my eyes, put my one hand in front of the other, holding onto that fucking railing, and then take the next step. It was an adventure getting down those fucking steps in my apartment. Needless to say, I had an apartment where it was 3 other people, and we all had like our own little our own bathroom, our own microwave and stuff. So we had our own lock. Each room was locked. We could
Yeah.
lock our rooms. Well, I locked my room, and I needed to expel the demons from inside of
Yeah.
me, and I
Yeah, you
didn't
need
turn
to
on
throw
the
up.
lights, and I did not. And I'm there like just struggling to put the fucking key in the damn and I couldn't find it. And my
Where'd you throw up?
the
Right in
next
front of your door?
the next morning, my door is just like an exorcism happened. There's just shit all over my door. I'm passed out in front of my door, like on the rug and shit. And and all it
Your
took was that
roommates
one
must have
time.
hated.
But, no, my roommates were fucking drinking too. Like I had a roommate who was this Cuban dude who he put he'd wet towels under his door. He was Cuban Puerto Rican. He would wet these towels, then he'd put them under his door, and
Mm-hmm.
then he'd light
So you can smoke.
Nag a bunch of incense and shit, so he can smoke in his
Yeah,
room. Because he was so fucking
yeah.
paranoid. He'd been smoking since he was 12 or 13. So he was so paranoid that he read the contract. Like he read our lease agreement, and he's like, "Oh shit, I can get kicked out. I can get this if I get caught smoking." And one day I was just like, "Hey, bro, like we know you smoke. Like just we'll open up some
Yeah.
windows. We'll turn on the fan. You can smoke out here. You don't have to fucking be paranoid. Like
Uh-huh.
we're not. I'm not gonna rat you out. Like that's not us. We're cool."
Yeah.
But for the
Yeah.
first couple months, like I'm like, should I tell him? And me and my boy Dave, who I kind of still keep in contact with, we're like, should we tell him? Like, nah. We'll tell him in a little. We'll tell him next week. We'll tell him next month. But should we tell him we know he smokes? Because he thought I was like, dude, like, who are you hiding this shit from? Like, those are just
Yeah.
classic
Doesn't
things
matter.
that a smoker does. Like, we know what you're doing
Yeah.
over there. And he was
It's
just,
not hard.
he thought he was gonna get narked on. Like, he thought he was gonna get kicked out of the apartment. He was it was
Everybody
good
knew.
times. Yeah,
Everybody
everybody knew.
knew.
Everybody knew.
Yeah. Dude, it's so fucking weird. What a weird dude. What a weird time to be alive, isn't it? Like it's so strange. Like we could recap that. Like that was like 17, 18 years ago for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like my stories were 15 years ago now when I was 21. And now we're fucking locked in our houses, basically, and having to wear masks to go outside. How crazy has our life been, bro? How fucking boomer, like think about it. Like boomers didn't live through this. Right? Like
They did
they
not.
didn't experience anything. They didn't experience anything like this.
No.
Like there's like maybe one or two people who were alive during the Spanish flu, right? That were also alive now. That's one or two people, right? Like it's not many people that lived through those times. It's so fucking crazy, man.
But you know what's crazy is, I think about it. We have the state governments and the federal government now saying, "Hey, you need to stay at home. You need to wear masks." Ohio saying we have a shelter in place or shelter at home order.
Right.
You can only go out to get the essentials. If you have to work and your job is considered essential, or if you have to go get food, medicine, etc. Like it's the push behind it, and it's well meaning, right? We want to protect people, we want to keep this thing from spreading, but
Yep.
we're one step away from totalitarianism. I can't even say the word right. Totalitarianism.
Totalitarian.
I can't even say the
Yeah.
damn word right. I've had too much to drink.
Yeah.
Totalitarianism. I mean, we
Probably
are
should
like
have known.
one or two steps. So like it's a fine line, right? Where the government is telling you, hey, you
Yes.
can't go out. You're gonna do this, or else we're going to like in San Francisco and even here, we're gonna fine you. The police are going to businesses that are opening. A Hobby Lobby was opening over here, and they're
Yep.
not really considered an essential business. And so
No.
the law enforcement officers, local law enforcement, are allowed to fine or whatever it is that they, write them up. So I mean, it's a fine line, right? Like we're trying to protect people, we're telling people to stay in, but it's not too far removed from 1984, right? George Orwell's dystopian society where
Mhm.
yeah, where you can't do
Dude, have you
anything, or if
listened?
you're watching the what.
Have you listened to that book, to the audiobook version of it?
I
It's creepy,
haven't
bro.
listened to it. I read it years ago, obviously, but I'm guessing
Yeah.
they must have gotten some good voiceover
Yeah.
actors, some voice
No,
actors to read it.
the voice guy is like it makes it really like vivid. You know what I mean? Like as you listen to, because you have Audible, and I'm sure you have plenty of credits. For sure, check that out
Okay.
because like the voiceover of it, it's almost like remember like the initial story of World of the Worlds. It was
Yeah.
like a radio thing where people
People
thought it
thought
was
it was
really
real.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's kind of what it's like. Where like you really listen to that shit, and we're like, holy, like this is more Nostradamus than anything else. George Orwell is, you know what I mean? Like to the smallest things where I'm like, what the fuck? Like I had to like stop it a couple of times, especially Like now it's hard to listen back to it,
Mm-hmm.
where like it's even more real. Where I'm like, okay, this is. I'd rather it be a surprise than it be a foretold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No.
I
Speaking of
don't.
Nostradamus, I think I'm gonna start watching The Simpsons again because they know
They're
what's
on
up.
it.
Somebody's got a fucking crystal ball or the the magic 8 ball or some
I
shit. Somebody knows.
I am convinced. I am convinced they have like a guy from the future coming back to tell them what the fuck is happening. Because you can't write some of the shit they've written, like predicting Trump would win. You know what I mean? Just like the predicting certain outbreaks, just like what, like the Twin Towers. Like they had like that magazine that was like 9/11 with the Twin Towers weren't in the picture.
Right.
They came out like 7 or 8 years ago, but 7 or 8 years before
Mm-hmm.
the fucking thing was like, this is okay, this is creepy, bro. This gets really weird really fast.
Yeah. I give all the
It's
credit to my
crazy.
wife, by the way. She's the one that pointed all that stuff out to me because I see those and I kind of just scroll and I don't pay attention to them. And so she's the one that said, "Hey, look,"
Yeah,
and so I went into it and I looked at all these memes and all the or posts, and it's
yeah,
funny, but it's kind of a little eerie. You're like, hey,
yeah.
you would think, okay, you
Dude,
might guess right on 1 out of 100, but so many things that
right.
that have these episodes that have aired, and a lot of these things have actually come true. It's funny and it's a little scary at the same time. I'm not sure if
My
that's my
cousin,
paranoia or the alcohol talking or both.
both. My cousin sent me a video of like the Simpsons having like a Simpsons thing, and it was in Spanish, right? Because it was my cousin in Panama, and he sent me it was like a video of like the Simpsons, like the heads of the world, right,
Mm-hmm.
meeting in like the top of the Statue of Liberty, like having like a board meeting
Like the
and like
Bilderbergs.
talking about the next, yeah, like the Bilderberg type of thing. Like they had a they had a meeting where like they're talking about the next pandemic and how to control people
Mm-hmm.
and all this shit. I'll send you. I think I still have it. It's like a 17-minute video. Just fast forward to where you see the Simpsons stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then like it goes to like actual video of like actual meetings of like the World Banks and like all these heads of state and different and heads of or of corporations and shit like that. Where I'm just like, yo, like again, like the conspiracy theory side of it, right? But I was like, again, the conspiracy theory side is one thing, but like, why would the Simpsons, you know what I mean, a cartoon make this? You get what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like you should be like putting like fart jokes and Homer choking Bart, you know what I mean, or whatever the fuck it is. Like it should never be like social commentary to that level where like they're predicting Donald Trump wins.
Yeah, but I mean that's what they're known for, right? It is social commentary. That they've been around for a long
Yeah,
time and they're really funny at it. You call it
36 years.
satire, call it social commentary, but
Yeah,
that's what a lot of their episodes were. Even though I haven't seen it in years. Um,
I haven't seen The Simpsons in probably 20 years, bro.
I'd
Like yeah, probably
I'd say that's around the time around high school, junior, senior, sometime 2000,
yeah.
2011, or 2001. That's around the time when I kind of stopped watching it. And it's not because
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching anime now, and it's not because they're not kids cartoons. The Simpsons are,
No,
they're it's just a show, but it's animated. It's like watching Archer.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Archer is hilarious,
yeah.
and I haven't seen Archer in a while, but that's an adult
Archer's
cartoon.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I still watch cartoons. Like I watch. I was watching Castlevania, which is on Netflix, right? Like which is like anime-ish.
It's
Anime.
not. That's a lie. It's American made. It's not anime.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's like the anime. That's why I said the ish part of it, right?
Uh,
Like my brother's gonna see this shit. It's like motherfucker, that's not anime. You know what I mean, man? It's like a cartoon, and that it's like fake anime, right? Like it's like a whatever they're trying to make it. When was the last time? I don't even remember the last time like America made like a good cartoon, bro. That you had to tune in on. That they didn't just dub from like Japanese shit. It's hard to think about.
I mean, I don't watch them, but I'm guessing cartoons like American Dad or
Yeah, but that's all social commentary. South Park, I guess.
but that
Dude,
is
all right,
too. That's social commentary as well.
that's all social commentary. American Dad, the guy's like a CIA agent with a fucking alien as like his buddy. It's weird how like everybody just normalizes that part. So you want to talk about this hyena pseudo-penis, or are we just gonna act like
Act like
act
I
like that
haven't, like
wasn't
I
a
didn't
thing?
even read that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about hyena
Dude,
pseudopenises,
so yeah, so my wife sent me this shit. Couple questions for that one. So female hyenas have a pseudo-penis, which is where they actually give birth from. Because female hyenas have three times. First of all, they should just be the male hyenas.
Right.
They have three times the testosterone. How fucking crazy is that, bro? Did you know any of this shit?
No, I mean, look, we've been locked up for about 3 weeks now, but I'm not going that deep into it. But you guys are going all out into trying to,
Yeah.
I'm reading about history. I'm reading about things like, when
Pandemic.
Kobe died, there were articles in the New York Times that were talking about COVID-19 and the outbreak in China back in like January 26th or early January,
Yep.
and but the
Yep.
headline was Kobe's death, and so I'm finding out about stuff like that we were kind of putting this pandemic and this outbreak on the back burner because Kobe's death was more important. You and I talked about it on the show,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. We didn't
I'm
talk about COVID-19 till recently, really.
yeah, I'm not, but you and Melanie seem to be going hard. I mean, talking about pseudo-penises and female hyenas having three times the testosterone.
You don't say
No,
it like that. That's a
no,
little aggressive.
that's a little aggressive.
You don't say that.
You guys
Hey, listen, man.
are taking
I thought it was.
are taking this time to research some things that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise if it weren't for this pandemic.
Animals
Was that
are
better?
animals. Yeah, like it, I definitely don't want to watch pandemic documentaries like you've been doing, you son of a bitch. You- We're living in one right now. Let me watch more about it. Just watch CNN. It's real time pandemic shit. Or Fox News that says it's a democratic ploy to take down the president. How about that shit? It's wild, bro. It's so wild. Oh man, I don't know what's next, bro. But
So
goddamn, drinking at 1 o'clock probably isn't the best bet because I feel like taking a nap. Like,
it
I've gotten
definitely
to
is
that
not
age.
the
Like, you know
best.
what? No, we're probably not gonna do this again, right? Like, I made the podcast really enjoyable. I mean, the podcasts are always great. But my God, drinking at 1 o'clock is if I felt wrong. Like I felt like there was something wrong. Like, am I all right? Like I had to have a couple questions of myself. Like, is everything all right with me? Like, why am I drinking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Because I said we would. All right, I'm 36. We could have made a different decision.
We definitely could have. We could
Mhm.
have done it at like 6 in the evening or something. But I don't want to keep you from what you really want to discuss, right? Like you want to talk about these female pseudo-penises, female hyena pseudo-penises. So
Real
let's
quick
talk
though,
about
how
that.
does that make sense? How does that make? Let's talk about the testosterone aspect of it, right? If you have three times the amount of testosterone, then you're clearly the man in that man in that situation. Well, female animals in most situations are the dominant ones, right? Like lionesses are the ones that hunt. Lions just kind of hang out and chill. They don't really. They kind of protect when people get close to their pride. But
Right.
for the most part, women are the providers. It's weird, right? Like it shows how dominant the female species is in that like the animal kingdom, which is just crazy. But then they make 20 cents to the dollar that we make in human beings.
Yeah, I
It's
don't get it.
crazy.
I mean,
It
it's
doesn't mean
I don't even know how that the biology works, right? Because reading through this, it's they have three times the testosterone, but what it
yeah
is really this pseudo penis is just an enlarged clit. And
yeah
then, of course, the article or this post went ahead and just posted some pictures in case I couldn't get
yes
the
which was
in case I couldn't
yeah
get it, I couldn't grasp the concept. They went ahead and put some
yeah
pictures out there for me. And I was like, okay, so it's just
and a
carrying like one of
character and a
these out there,
cartoon.
just like hanging out,
Yeah. It's
and
a
a
huge
cartoon.
dick. It's a huge dick. Yeah, it's a huge dick.
I'm
That's
like,
that's the bag of dicks, John.
that's
That's
a
the
hell of
bag
a
of,
that's a hell of a clit. That shit's gonna hit you in the forehead. Oh man.
yeah, bro. It's
Okay.
so wild. Where like they have breaks down the like the litters they have 2 to 4 cubs
Mm-hmm.
and all the like but it comes out of there. Like
And it comes out of there. Yeah.
it's a very narrow. Just imagine a penis giving birth. It's very listen, it's what it is. All right. It's weird, it's wild. And I feel like that's how you end the podcast talking about a hyena pseudo penis. Right? Like they kind of just picture that's what earlier when I referenced the bag of dicks, these are the dicks I pictured in that bag for you to eat. Just enjoy.
For me, not for
Enjoy
me. I
that.
hope you're talking about someone else. And
No, not you. Not you. The people who I was referencing in my earlier rant. Just eat an entire bag of pseudo penises. I feel like that's what I'm going to say from now on.
just
I'm
eat
not
an
going to
entire bag
say
of female hyena pseudo penises.
yes, 100%. Right? Like that's how you go from that. Like just an entire bag of pseudo penis. 2Ps.
I don't have anything to. I don't have anything else to add to that, man. We can close out the
I'm never
show.
drinking at 1 o'clock again, bro.
We can
I'm never
close out the
drinking at one
show.
o'clock again.
No, yeah, don't do that. It's not a good idea for you.
Bro, it's wild.
You work tomorrow?
Nah, dude, I'm still recovering. I got my I still gotta get cleared, so we'll see how that goes. Arm's getting better though.
Yeah, I'm good. You got anything else to say?
I'm good,
In
brother.
closing, eat a whole
In
bag
closing,
of Hyena pseudo-penises.
yeah, if you have any problem with this podcast, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a pseudo penis ain't one. That's it. That's all.
And we're